What the hell is up, everybody? Louie back here again. Finally, after a month-long layoff, we're back for UFC Vegas 67. Sean Tarzan Strickland taking on Nasruddin Imavov at 205 pounds, short notice. Kevin Gastelum had to pull out, unfortunately, but you know what? Call me crazy. I'm actually more interested in this main event. Sean Strickland's number 7, Nasruddin 12, I believe. So this is a huge opportunity for Nasruddin, and Strickland coming off that controversial loss against Jared Cannonier, looking to right the wrongs and get right back in the title picture. So I'm all here for it. Should be very interesting. And in the co-main event at 145 pounds, men's featherweight, you got Dan 50K Ige taking on Damon Action Jackson. Jackson coming off of that bulldozing of Pat Sabatini. And Dan Ige looking to get back on the horse. He had 3 losses in a row, all 2 super elite competition in the weight class. Should be a fun one. A good style clash there. And then also at 135-pound women's bantamweight, you got Caitlin Vieira taking on Raquel Rocky Pennington, probably for a title shot. If Caitlin Vieira wins, she'll probably get a title shot. I'm not super familiar with the title picture in that weight class, but yeah, should be pretty fun. And then you got Umar Nurmagomedov, Little Eagle, against Ronnie Barcelos. I'm just very interested. But let's kick it off right here. Start the new year off right. First fight of the night at 125 pounds, men's flyweight. You got Charles Johnson taking on Jimmy the Brick Flick. The return of Jimmy Flick after a 2-year-long layoff. Interested to see what happens. Charles Johnson took on Zaga Zumagulov his last fight. Just in the first round, he was circling on the outside, but he gets cut off a lot. And then he gets rocked with the hand right, but then he's able to stuff Zalgas' takedown attempts, which is pretty crucial for this fight. But then he eats a shot on the inside, but then he starts finding his range later on that round. He starts landing some jabs and some straight shots, starts finding his rhythm. But then in the second round, he gets pressured at the cage, but he's able to defend the takedowns, keeps the overhook and the whizzer against the fence, not trying to give up any points there. And then in that third round, he pressures with some jabs, starts getting a little more confident, and then he shoots a double to the fence, and then he kind of lands across on the break. Pretty close fight, but, you know, Charles Johnson had his moments where he was able to let off a lot of combinations. So I guess it scored in the judges' eyes. Jimmy Flick, about 2 years ago, took on Cody Durden. In the first round, his kick is caught, but he gets mat returned, and he gives up his back. But then he's able to get up and just keeps moving, gets to his feet, doesn't accept the position. But then back on the feet, he walked into some overhands at range, but his double attempt got stuffed. But then he started eating some hooks on the inside there. But then he lands a step in, a head kick, and then pulls the flying triangle and gets a submission, kind of out of nowhere. So Cody Durden's no punk. He's gone on to win a couple fights since then. So Charles Johnson minus 345, Jimmy Flick plus 285. I really like Jimmy Flick, but 2-year-long layoff, I just don't know. And the price is pretty out of whack. But Charles Johnson, I think he's coming along. I thought he put up a hell of a fight against Muhammad Makayev. And against Zalgas. Zalgas is a tricky guy. I mean, Jeff Molina had a razor-close fight with him, too. So Zalgas isn't bad. He's like a good measuring stick in the division. And I think Charles Johnson is just going to be able, you know, he's proved himself to go over 3 rounds. Jimmy Flick, you know, been gone for 2 years. And he seems more like he's very dangerous in the first round. I think Charles Johnson can outlast him. I think he can start finding his range, popping jabs, popping straight shots, dancing around him, that kind of thing. So I'm going to go with Charles Johnson. Don't love that price, but it's a flyweight fight, under 1.5 rounds, plus 105. I like that plus money. Let's go with Charles Johnson here. Second fight of the night at 145 pounds, men's featherweight. You got Dan Argueta taking on Nick Aguirre. Both guys making their UFC debuts. Dan Argueta stepping up on short notice for Nick Aguirre. So, pretty interesting matchup here. I don't know why it's on this card, to be honest with you. But, you know, whatever. It could be a fun fight. Dan Argueta took on Damon Jackson his last fight. Sorry, Dan Argueta had a fight before. Nick Aguirre is making his UFC debut. My fault. Dan Argueta took on Damon Jackson his last fight. That fight was on short notice. I believe he fought at 135, bumped up to 145, put on a hell of a performance against Damon Jackson short notice. In the first round, he steps inside, but he gets body locked immediately, gives up his back. You know, it's common practice with Damon Jackson. But then he explodes into him, and he's able to reverse the position with 40 seconds left to go in the first round. So, a lot of fight in him at the end of the round. In the second round, his single attempt gets stuffed, and he gives up his back, though. you know, kind of right away. But then he uses that baseball bat grip, and he explodes into him, gets to his feet, lands a flurry, and then he shoots multiple takedown attempts. He's able to finally finish the double leg at the end. Jackson kind of conceded, but still is a big one. And then in the third round, he rocks him with the hook on the inside, just kind of letting it all fly. But then he lands an uppercut and an elbow inside the collar tie, starts getting into his face, making it a little dirty. Then he flurries and he gets his back, and he's able to get Damon's back standing. But then he gets switched. But, you know, he really went for it. So, got to praise him for that. And then Nick Aguirre took on Brandon Clausen, his last fight. In the first round, he shoots a double, but he can't finish. But then he shoots a single, and he finishes that off of the cage. So, decent chain wrestling. He tries to go for the darts at the end of the round, can't get it. Then in the second round, he eats some leg kicks, but he walks him down with a kick, and then he feints a hook, and then he gets the double leg off the fence, finding his attacks there. Then he's from that takedown, he goes into half guard, gets the arm triangle, transition to full mount, then back mount, figure four rear naked choke submission. Pretty nice work from him. Nick Aguirre plus 410. Dan Argueta minus 520. Yeah, another line that is really out of whack. And, I don't know, man. I don't want to go minus 520 for Dan Argueta. I mean, he looks pretty good against Damon Jackson on short notice. But Nick Aguirre is explosive and decent on the ground. So is Dan Argueta. I don't know, dude. It's a fight between two people that need to prove themselves. Dan Argueta has one fight in the UFC. That was only on short notice. I'm just going to go with Nick Aguirre. I'm going to stay away from this. If you want to throw $10 on Nick, I would do that. I don't think Dan Argueta is worth minus 500. Sorry. So, I'm going to go with Nick Aguirre just for the hell of it. And we'll see what happens. You know, it's the first fight of the year. First fight card of the year. Okay. And then the third fight on the prelims, 125 pounds again, men's flyweight. You got Alan Nascimento taking on Carlos Hernandez. Nascimento took on Jake Hadley his last fight. In the first round, he catches a kick and he gets a takedown, but then he gets swept with the omoplata. But he uses the heel hook to get the top position. I love seeing that type of stuff. Position over submission. In the second round, he shoots up last double when he gets pressed towards. Then he gets in the full guard, but he stops the old sweep attempts and maintains proper position. Then in the third round, he shoots, but he gets kind of guillotined, and then he gets hipped over onto his back, but he's able to keep the underhook, and then uses a heel hook, and he swims out of a back take attempt, gets top position, he keeps scrambling, moving through those positions. His double attempt gets stuffed, but then he sweeps off of the top guillotine, and he's able to, you know, get on top for the rest of the fight and end strong. So that's all you can really ask for. Scrambly guy. Decent submission threats, though. And then Carlos Hernandez took on Victor Altamirano his last fight. In a first round, he jabs into a body lock battle, but then he lands a counter left hook inside the pocket when they're both going back and forth. If he likes to get in there and scrap, he can make it dirty. But then he eats a head kick off the clinch break, but he's able to duck the hook, get a body lock trip right at the end of the round, kind of scoring points if it's a close round. Then in the second round, he's back and forth in the pocket, but he eats a combination, but he's able to return a nasty uppercut and then a hook combination, really letting it fly there. Then in the third round, he creates space and lands some right crosses and gets the collar ties. His right crosses going for the collar ties and, you know, trying to hit the same spot and trying to work him into a position where he's able to get him all the way back to the fence, and whenever he's really able to establish his dominance. Toward the end of the round, in a close fight in the third round, I really thought that was special. Then he jabs and he ducks to a body lock attempt to get stuffed, though, but he did damage earlier on in the round. Carlos Hernandez is plus 275, Alan Nascimento minus 330. Now, this is a tough one because, yeah, Alan Nascimento, he's going to have to get Carlos Hernandez to the ground. I think he can. Carlos Hernandez stand-up is a lot better. He's a lot crisper. He's a lot good inside the pocket. He will rip the uppercuts and rip the hooks. So Nascimento is going to have to get this one to the ground. And is it worth minus 330 for that? I don't really know, to be honest with you. But I just liked, whenever I watched him, I just thought he would be able to just kind of control and scramble the whole fight. And I don't think that Carlos Hernandez is going to be able to keep up with him on the ground. Hernandez's best bet is going to have to be to stop the takedown. And I'm just not sure if I see that. The only thing that's giving me pause is that price tag of a minus 330 for Nascimento, who is Charles Oliveira's student. But Also, you want to go under 2.5 rounds plus 155. I mean, I think that's very plausible. I think Nascimento can catch him in a submission. I'm going to go with Nascimento here against my better judgment, maybe. I just don't see Carlos Hernandez having the full tool set to be able to beat Nascimento over 3 rounds. So I'm going to go with Nascimento and then hit the under 2.5 plus 155. We'll see. Let's get in the feature fight of the prelims. 155 pounds, men's lightweight. You got 2 UFC debutants. Matheus Rebecki taking on Nick Fiore. Rebecki coming off a win on the Contender Series. Took on Rodrigo Lidio. Pretty amazing stuff. Just looking at this fight. First round, he walks into a head kick and he eats a knee. Doesn't care. He gets a single off the fence. Then he just leans out of range. And then he grabs a clinch. Transfers to a double leg. No hook, rear naked choke, side control, submission. So, yeah, dude, just kind of ran him over, and yeah, so looks like a Dagestani, not really a Dagestani. Interesting. Nick Fiore fought outside the organization. Not a ton of great promotions, not a ton of great competition. I really had trouble finding tape on him. His last professional fight I could find was from a couple years ago against Jay Ellis. Jay Ellis has over 100 losses. So take that for what you will. First round, skirts the fence, eats some body kicks, but then he gets the blast double off of Jay's overhand, takes the back, sinks both hooks in, gets a rear naked choke submission. Doesn't really tell me too much. And the guys he's fought have losing records, so I don't know, man. I don't know why he's here, to be honest with you. No disrespect, but I really don't. Nick Fiore plus 540, Matheus Rebecki minus 740. I'm going to go with Rebecki because why not? One guy coming off of low-level promotion, Matheus coming off the Contender Series at least, you know, gets a first-round finish. I think Rebecki's just going to bulldoze him over. We'll see, though. I don't know. Matheus Rebecki by finish, minus 280. Might be a little easier to put that down. The whole fight to go under 1.5 rounds, minus 155. I like that one, but I'm going to go with Matheus here, and we'll see what happens, you know? Yeah, pretty weird matchup. Co-main event of the prelims, 185 pounds, men's middleweight. You got Claudio Ribeiro taking on Abdulrazak Alhassan, Judo Thunder. Should be a fun one. These guys throw bombs, and I hope you like violence. But I have a feeling it might go the distance. We'll see. Claudio Ribeiro took on Ivan Valenzuela in the Contender Series. First round, leg kick, left hook, KO. Nothing. Hits him with the leg kick. Ivan's coming forward. Check left hook. Before that, he took on Kellis Albuquerque outside of the promotion, obviously. In the first round, he gets his back to the cage, but then he lands a step in, left hook, and he rocks him, and he gets the body lock, but he gets tripped down with the body lock, but then he gets right up against the cage, uses that to wall walk, really nice stuff. He escapes with the underhook, and he circles, and then he unleashes a flurry, just kind of runs at him, caution to the wind, but then he oversteps, and he gets body locked and taken down. This fight was 3 rounds. I didn't feel like going over all that. Yeah, he won a decision, I think, or he went 3 rounds at least. But, yeah, he can do more than, he's not like necessarily first rounder bust. So, Abdulrazak Alhassan took on Joaquin Buckley's last fight a couple years ago, a year and a half ago, something like that. It was a while ago. In the first round, he landed a step in overhand, but he gets doubled, but then he gets up pretty quickly, and, you know, Buckley's decent on the ground, so that was good. Then he loads up on some overhand rights, and he's not really landing them, using a lot of energy early on. Then the second round, he gets doubled to the fence, but he's able to defend, and he gets right up. But then he just kind of shells up against the fence and lets Buckley unload combinations on him, hooks and uppercuts. Some of them were getting through, some of them weren't. But, I mean, you don't want to let a guy like Buckley unload on you. You don't want to let a guy like Claudio Ribeiro unload on you either. So I didn't like that. And then in the third round, he gets the overhook trip, but he's not able to secure the takedown. He lands overhand right, transitions to a body lock trip, and he gets the mat return in a half guard, lands some elbows. Buckley just straight up ran out of gas, which he has since fixed in his subsequent fights. But, yeah, really strong ending for him. Honestly, I was surprised. Buckley just kind of literally just ran out of gas. But, yeah, dude, he can do some damage on the ground, too, so it should be interesting. Abdul minus 105. Claudio is minus 115. Coin flip. I'm going to go with Abdul, Razak Alhassan, just because he's fought better guys. He can go 3 rounds, but he can, like, actually do better in the third round. You know, I think it's going to be a slugfest, though. I think they're going to bang it out. Or Francis Ngannou, Derek Lewis rules, they might not do anything the whole entire fight. So for that reason, I'm going to go the over 1.5 plus 185. I think that might be the sweet spot. And I'm going to go with Abdul. It's a coin flip, more experience, better competition. Don't think too much about it. All right, the main event of the prelims, the 135 pounds men's bantamweight. You got Javid Basharat taking on Mateus Mendonca, the newcomer, and I'm excited, man. This is a big matchup for Javid. He's trying to be the next guy at bantamweight. He's coming off some great performances over some tough guys, and this could really be a coming out party for him. And Mateus Mendonca, you know, he's got a big opportunity to make a splash in the UFC, so I'm excited. Javid Basharat took on Tony Gravely his last fight. First round, he circles out of the hooks and he skirts the fence. He gets singled off the fence. He gets up his back standing for a while, but he's able to defend, doesn't take too much damage. But then he presses forward with some 1-2s and a front kick, and then he lands a nice knee to the head on Tony, and Tony starts running out of gas. Javid starts picking up the pace, you know how it goes. In the second round, he gets doubled off a leg kick, but he keeps the whizzer, and he gets to his feet, and he separates, and then he pancakes him off the double in a half guard. Then he lands some body kicks at range, and he rocks him with a front face kick. Then in the third round, he pops some jabs at range. He looks to counter crosses and hooks. And just kind of staying at range and dancing around him kind of. And, you know, just looking fresh and smooth. And Tony's exhausted. And he's making him take bad shots and making him miss. And it was a great performance from him. Tony Gravely is a tough guy. So it was a big test for him. Mateus Mendonca took on Ashik Kim his last fight. In the first round, he lands some step-in leg kicks, but he backs out, and he drops him with a 3-2 combination as he's loading up. And then he lands a left hook and then a KO. So, you know, just kind of catches him on the right time. A really good showing for him. And then before that, he took on Pedro Nombre. In the first round, he lands a 1-2, goes to the clinch to the fence, and he presses forward, and he slips his jabs and overhands, and then he lands a nice head kick. And that fight went a couple rounds, and I feel like going over a tape. But, you know, he had a good showing on the Contender Series. The guy's got blue hair. You kind of need a knockout if you got blue hair. So he got that done. Mateus Mendonca plus 260. Javid Basharat at minus 315. Don't like the price, but I like Javid. I think, you know, classic power puncher, one-round fight type of guy Mendonca is, especially against Javid. If Mendonca doesn't crack him and hurt him, at least like really hurt him, Javid is going to make him pay for it. He's going to jab him at range and dance around him. And he might be able to get a clinch, get a trip. Maybe Mateus oversteps and Javid takes him to the ground. But I think after that first round, Javid is really going to pick up the pace. But even then, like, Mateus might not even be able to hit him. Price is a little steep, but I think this guy is the truth. He's a truth at bantamweight. I think he's going to be in the elite level soon. I'm going to go with Javid Basharat here. First fight of the main card, 135 pounds, men's bantamweight. You got Umar, I call him Little Eagle, Nurmagomedov, taking on Ronnie Barcelos. Big fight for each guy. Umar trying to rise the ranks. Ronnie is a tough veteran who cracks a mean punch. And Ronnie, if he can beat Umar and derail that hype train, I mean, goddamn. You know. Great matchup. It's either going to be crazy or it's going to be really boring. But let's get into it. Nurmagomedov took on Nate Maness's last fight. First round, he slips the hook, gets double unders, inside trip into half guard, and then 3/4 mount. Doesn't do a ton of ground and pound. Second round, he lands a head kick, and then he shoots in for the high crotch, finishes with a crackdown position off of Nate Maness's jab. He oversteps. He gets into side control and half guard, and he takes his back with both hooks. Starts laying some ground and pound then, but he really takes his time to secure the position there. In the third round, he lands a head kick at range whenever Nate's coming in, and then a front face kick, front push kick to the face. It was nasty. It was pretty bad, yeah. Then he gets to snatch inside single again with a bow step from range, and then he's inside control, and then full guard ground and pound. And he just kind of snatches that thing right away. It comes easier in the third round than it did in the first and the second round. Ronnie Barcelos took on Trevin Jones his last fight. In the first round, he loads up and lands overhand right in the pocket. Then he lands a left hook to a single leg trip takedown, and then he gets to the back and half guard, and then he transitions to full mount, really letting him have it early on. I like seeing that dominance asserted. Then in the second round, he throws a right and then a left hook, and then he lands a right hook and then a jump knee in succession, and then he rocks him with the overhand off of Trevin's poorly timed level change, and then he's in the half guard, lands some nasty elbows, and then he's in the front headlock whenever Trevin shoots a single from his knees, and then he's able to go around and get his back again. So really good control from him. Then in the third round, he lands a left hook, right hook, and then a left hook, and then a right uppercut. Really nasty combo, just kind of lets it rip, presses forward. And then he lands an overhand, and then a high C to the double, and then gets full mount, ground and pound. Finishes in dominant fashion. Really trying to go for that finish. Doesn't get it, but, you know, he tried. Ryan Barcelos plus 675, Umar minus 975. I'm just going to be honest. I think Umar's going to just take him down. I think he's going to just do the same thing he did Nate Maness. Ronnie, you know, decent wrestling defense. He might stuff a couple of his takedowns. But I just don't see Umar getting hit with those combinations inside the pocket. I think he's going to stay at range, maybe use some kicks to get inside. And then Umar's going to be all the way in or all the way out, and he's going to be in the clinch with him. Ronnie's not going to be able to land anything of power, not get enough leverage. Or he's going to be all the way out, and Ronnie's going to have to chase him. And then Umar is going to be able to hit a single. Ronnie can crack. If he cracks him, we'll see what happens. I just don't think so. Price tag's ridiculous. I get that, but unless you're damn sure, you just can't bet against NURMAGOMEDOV these days. Umar by decision, minus 200. That's a little palatable. I think if he didn't finish Nate Maness, he's not going to finish Ronnie Barcelos. Barcelos only been submitted a few times. I just don't know if Umar's going to get it. So I like the decision. But obviously the pick's Umar. But we'll see. I hope I'm proving wrong, honestly. It'd be awesome for Ronnie. Second fight of the main card at 135 pounds. Women's bantamweight. You got Vieira taking on Raquel Rocky Pennington. If Vieira wins this, she's probably going to fight Amanda Nunes for the title. If Raquel wins this, who knows what happens. Women's bantamweight's kind of a mess, but we'll see. But it's a huge fight for Vieira. Coming off the win against Holly Holm. In the first round, she gets clinched to the fence, but she keeps the overhook, and then tries to go for a wizard kick. Can't really get it. Pretty boring first round, to be honest. She just got clinched the entire time. But then in the second round, she backs out of the overhook range, and then she lands a right cross. She's able to get the wizard kick whenever she gets pressed, finally, but can't really do a whole lot with it. Back on the feet, she defends a single, and then she with the front choke, and then she gets a standing rear naked choke with no hooks for a second. You know, kind of made Holly's face turn purple, so I guess give her the round. Then in the third round, she misses a head kick and she gets body locked to the fence. But then she's in the clinch and she's able to separate and she catches Holly's kick and then she lands a straight right, which rocks her. So starts kind of picking it up a little bit. And then there's 4 and 5 rounds, but you know, it's only a 3-round fight, so I don't really care. Then Raquel Pennington took on Aspen Ladd her last fight. Really good showing from her, I thought. First round, straight flurry to the clinch. A left hook off of Aspen's jab. Aspen, you know, she just kind of does a lot of movement, too far out of range. Kind of telegraphing a lot of things. But then she eats a straight left, and when she's coming in, throwing the straight. But then she lands some left hooks off of Aspen's straights, and she really lets them rip. Like, she throws a lot of power in these shots. And then in the second round, she starts laying some hooks in the pocket whenever Aspen presses her with some straights, and then she gets a clinch to the fence, starts landing some knees to the body. But she eats a hook in the pocket, but then she's able to land a counter hook, and then she straight combination, and then it starts ripping the body and getting Aspen up against the fence, really dominating the end of the round. But then in the third round, yeah, big momentum change, unfortunately. She's in the tie clinch, lands some knees to the body, like a lot of them, but Aspen finally grabs her knee and gets the double leg, and then she just gets clinched to the fence for the rest of the round. You know, kind of anticlimactic, but what are you going to do? First 2 rounds, she looked amazing. You only need to win 2. Raquel Pennington plus 100. Vieira minus 120. I don't know. Could go either way. I see Raquel just getting in Caitlin's face and ripping to the body, ripping to the head, hooks, nastiness. She's got to watch. Now, Raquel's got to watch those knees, though, because Caitlin would wait for an opportunity to take her down. And then Caitlin can hit that wizard kick. So Raquel might get caught a couple times. But, you know, it's women's bantamweight. It's a coin flip. I'm going to go to say underdog. I'm going to go for Raquel Pennington here. Hopefully it's a dog fight, you know? The feature fight of the main card at 185 pounds, men's middleweight. You got Soriano taking on Roman KOPYLOV. This one should be fun, too. This one should provide some violence here. Both guys like to bang. Both guys can eat some shots. Soriano took on Dolce Lungiambula his last fight. In the first round, he dips the straight, and he lands across, circles off, being a little more strategic, not trying to take all of Lungiambula's power. He lands a left cross, and then he pulls the clinch, and when he swings wide, but then he gets double-legged. So just kind of getting a little overzealous there toward the end of the round. And but you know, Soriano was okay on the ground. Lucian Boyd just kind of held him there, and Soriano knew what was going on. He was gearing up for round 2, and in round 2 he catches the kick, drops him with the left hook, gets the TKO. So actually no, catches the kick, drops him with the left hook, knocks him the fuck out, man. So it's pretty dangerous. But yeah. So, you know, Soriano can stick and move too. But Roman KOPYLOV took on Alessio Di Chirico's last fight. That was a do or die for both guys, and it was a bloodfest. In the first round, he presses with the 1-2 off of his leg kick, lands a jump knee, and then he defends a double leg attempt. And Soriano can wrestle a little bit, so that was good to see that. Then in the second round, he's able to slide in and out of range whenever he gets when he gets pressed, but then he lands a 1-2, then he would kind of back away, just kind of started finding his range, picking his shots, not trying to eat the return, but then he eats some straight rights, and then he eats some straights whenever his hands are down, but he fires back. I don't know why he's standing at range keeping his hands down, but he did that. But then he rips his head into the knee, and then he eats some jabs, but he gets pressured back. But he really lets him have it with that knee, man, and he'll eat a few to give a hard one. Then in the third round, he lands some 1-2s and a body kick at range. Then he lands some 1-2s and a right hook, and then some straight flurries, and just gets the KO. And you can see Di Chirico is like visibly gassed and damaged at this point. Both guys kind of were, but you can see KOPYLOV just kind of was like, fuck it, I'm going to finish this fight. And he did that. And he just took his opportunity whenever Di Chirico's guard was down and rushed him, and he's dangerous, so we got to be aware of that. Roman KOPYLOV plus 135, Punahele Soriano minus 155. I just like Soriano here, younger fighter. I think he's starting to come into his own. But yeah, man, this is gonna be a scrap fest. But Roman KOPYLOV is gonna try to look for the straight shots, and Punahele does kind of wing his shots at times. But over the course of I don't know if it's going to go 3 rounds or 1 round or 2 rounds, honestly. I just like Punahele Soriano in this fight. But, you know, Roman could come out strong. It all depends. I think Soriano is going to be patient. I think he finds those hooks on the inside. And I think Soriano might be able to wrestle a little bit, or at least clinch, and break out the momentum. If KOPYLOV starts landing a flurry, Soriano might be able to get that clinch, rip him on the inside. So it's a close one, but I'm going to go with Punahele here. All right, on to the co-main event. This should be a banger. Big stakes here at featherweight 145. Dan 50K Ige taking on Damon Action Jackson. Both guys really need a win. Damon doesn't need the win, but it's a huge win to beat an established veteran like Dan Ige. Dan Ige coming off of 3 losses in a row, unfortunately. Calvin Kattar, the Korean Zombie, and Movsar Evloev. Some of the best guys in the division. No shame in that. Just not a great look. So he really needs a win here, and Damon Jackson just demolished Pat Sabatini, and if he can beat Ige, I mean, he's a contender at 145. Not immediately, but I mean, he's in talks, you know, like he's a player at 145. So should be interesting. I'm excited, and I think these guys are gonna fuck each other up. I think that Dan Ige is going to be more vicious than we ever seen him, and I think Damon Jackson is going to go out there like he's got something to prove, and he's going to try to assert his dominance like he did in the last fight, and I'm very excited for it. I can't wait. It's a big showdown. Dan Ige took on Movsar Evloev his last fight. In the first round, he landed a step-in 1-2, and he starts landing some step-in jabs, and then a hook to the body, but then he gets rocked with a jump, and he just kind of oversteps, and Movsar was kind of waiting for that. But then he eats some 1-2s at range, but he steps in with some low kicks, but then he gets doubled and gives up his back, and then he gets mat return, but he gets to his feet. He's not accepting the position, just kind of getting out-grappled here. And Danny Ige, not the best grappler. And then the second round, he stays at range, but then he lands some more step-in leg kicks, but he lands some jabs and some right crosses, but then he eats some overhands, kind of overstepping again. But then he backs up, and he's getting jabbed, and then he gets doubled. Just kind of gets distracted with the jabs because he's so worried about takedown, kind of forgot about Evloev's hands. Then in the third round, he gets knee tapped and passed by off of an overhand, and Evloev just goes right in there into the body, crashes right into him, and Evloev was waiting for that, and then he gets a mat return, but then he gets an extended high C, switches off to a single on the mat, and he's on his knees, kind of hits an Arabian, and then he tries to get his head outside, but then he eats some elbows, some vicious elbows, and then he pulls guard, eats some ground and pound, and he gives up his back, but then he explodes in and gets to his feet for the end. But, you know, he got fucked up on the ground there, man. He just held on to that single way too long. And, yeah, man. Evloev got some elbows in there, but put up a good fight, you know, and looked pretty good early. Just got a little overconfident, I think, and led to the takedowns. Damon Jackson took on Pat Sabatini his last fight. First round, rocks him with a front kick, and then a hook flurry. And then he gets full mount, then back mount, ground and pound viciously, TKO, chef's kiss. Beautiful performance. Before that, he took on Dan ARGUETA on short notice. The guy was fighting earlier on in the card. In the first round, level change to a body lock lift, like immediately. It takes his back with both hooks. Then he gets the body triangle sunk in there. But then he gets reversed off the fence. ARGUETA is able to explode. Whenever he's changing from hooks, tries to go to the body triangle, and ARGUETA is able to explode when there's that little bit of space there. Then in the second round, he lands some overhands, and he stuffs some shots, and he lands some knees. And then he gets behind him and takes his back. So... And, you know, there's a couple more rounds, and he kind of fell off in the third round, but whatever. Damon Jackson, plus 105. Dan Ige, minus 125. I'm going back and forth, but I hate to say this. I think the Damon Jackson against Pat Sabatini was uncharacteristic. Somebody in his family passed away, and I don't know if, I'm not going to say that led to that performance, but maybe it had something to do with it. And, you know, we just thought it was going to be a grapple fest, and Damon Jackson, like, when does he ever throw a front kick? So, I don't know, but it seems like he needs to get, to me, he needs to get Ige to the ground. Ige needs to keep it on the feet. If Ige can keep it on the feet, I mean, he's just going to light Damon Jackson up. Dan Ige, he got taken down by Korean Zombie a lot. Korean Zombie, not necessarily a wrestler, but I think he'll be able to defend enough to just keep it on the feet. I think he's okay in those clinches. And even when Evloev took him down, I think he's a better wrestler than Jackson. He got to his feet, and he was fighting the whole time. I think he'll be able to get up to his feet and create some separation and get out in the open. But it's a very close one, close line here. But I'm going to go with Dan Ige. I'm going to have confidence that he can keep it on the feet long enough to land some significant strikes and really bloody up Damon Jackson, make him start taking some sloppy shots, maybe take his back, deliver some ground and pound. But we'll see. It should be a fun fight. But I'm going to go with Dan Ige here. And also, you know, he needs that win. So he's on a 3-fight losing streak. Maybe that'll help. All right, the main event of the evening at 205 pounds, men's light heavyweight, even though they're both 185ers. Sean Strickland stepping up on short notice, about a week's notice. Kevin Gastelum unfortunately fell out of the fight. Taking on Nasruddin Imavov. Huge matchup for Nasruddin. Sean Strickland is number 7, Nasruddin number 12, I believe. And Sean Strickland really needs a win to get back on the horse. He's coming off of 2 losses, 2 elite guys. Last fight against Cannonier, controversial loss. He just really wants to get in there and get a win. He said, fuck it, I'll do it. So I'm actually more excited than if it was Gastelum as originally planned, just because the stakes are a little bit bigger here. So should be fun, could be really boring. We'll see, man. I don't know. But, you know, either Sean Strickland is going to get a huge win that he needs and keep talking shit, or we're going to see a new star at 185. So it's fun either way. Sean Strickland took on Jared Cannonier his last fight. First round, he circles and jabs in the pocket, goes from the pocket and then outside. But he leans out of the crosses and he catches a kick and he gets his back briefly. Doesn't like do a whole lot to keep him there. But he lands some shots or on his back standing, which is kind of nice. But then he eats some leg kicks throughout that round, but he doesn't really care. Second round, he moves in and out of range. And he backs out of the hooks of Cannonier, but he has his hands down, and they're like barely missing him. So, you know, not really a smart move, but I guess Sean knows what he's doing. But then he kind of eats some more leg kicks, but then he lands some jabs, and he presses with a straight flurry. But then he gets cut off on the cage and eats a right hook toward the end of the round, and he has his hands down again, man. So I don't know, but I guess he's fine eating Jared's punches. Jared Cannonier, the monster, the crystal worshipping monster Jared Cannonier is. But then in the third round, he backs up and he lands some jabs with the southpaw switch. Then he eats some hooks in the pocket. Jared Cannonier starts pressing a little more. Kind of thinks he's down, I guess. But then he lands an uppercut and a hook combination whenever he gets pressed. And Jared Cannonier's a little overextended, and Sean spotted that. And it was a really nice combination. 4 and 5 rounds. I think Cannonier kind of came on in those 2 rounds, but you know, it was such a razor close fight, and honestly, not much happened. So. And then IMAVOV took on Joaquin Buckley his last fight. This was a surprisingly tough test for him toward the end of the fight. But in the first round, he stalks, bounces in and out of shots. And then he gets in the clinch exchanges. Then he starts looking for his jab, starts establishing range, trying to find it. Trying to find Joaquin with his jab. But then he lands some knees in the clinch and he stuffs a double toward the end. And then he gets his back. It was a bad shot from Joaquin, though. Then in the second round, he lands a step back right cross whenever Joaquin just kind of rushes at him with some hooks. But then he gets cracked with a hook whenever he's backing straight up, kind of like Sean was. So, but then he walks him down and he gets a double leg off of Joaquin's jab, overextend himself, and then he takes his back, figure four, some nice ground and pound to end the round. But then in the third round, you know, he just kind of falls off a cliff cardio-wise, honestly, and Buckley turns it way up. And like I said previously, Buckley's cardio didn't look good against Abdulrazak Alhassan. It looked on point, excellent on this fight. But then in the third round, he gets noticeably tired, but then he gets pressed and he eats some hooks, but he's able to get the duck under standing, and then he's able to get a mat return, but he cannot hold him down, and you could kind of tell he was just kind of, not necessarily surviving, but like he wasn't going to try to finish. But then he lands a lead uppercut, but then he eats some hooks on the return, and then he shoots a desperate double, and it gets stuffed, and then he eats a nasty knee from Buckley as he's coming up, and then Buckley just kind of presses him and lands some hooks. And you can tell he's kind of just surviving, kind of holding on. He knew he got the first 2 rounds, but, you know, good fight. And Joaquin, you know, he's definitely dangerous, and Joaquin fixed his cardio in that fight. So, Nasruddin Imavov, minus 130, Sean Strickland, plus 110. Basically a coin flip. I've been going back and forth. We all know Sean Strickland can go 5 rounds effortlessly. Can Nasruddin? I don't know. Nasruddin is definitely going to try to take Sean down. Sean should have decent takedown defense. We'll see. We don't really know. But, yeah, it's a tough one, man. But then Sean's coming in a week's notice. He fought a month ago. Didn't take too much damage. And it's up at 205. How good a shape is Sean in? Sean, is he rushing into the fight because he just desperately needs to get a win? We don't know. But I'm going to go with Sean Strickland here. I think as the fight goes on, I think Sean's going to try to extend the fight. Maybe he gets taken down, maybe he gets clinched, but he's usually pretty good. Whenever people try to clinch him of breaking off, like in the Jack Hermanson fight, I think he's going to be aware of this. And I think as the fight goes on, Nasruddin might be getting desperate for the takedowns, and Sean might just be able to land some jabs and some flurries. 4 and 5, how are those going to look? Is Nasruddin going to be completely gassed? I don't necessarily think so, because Sean's pace isn't super high. But, you know, plus 110, I think it's worth it. I'm going to go with Sean here. Who knows? But the whole fight over 4.5 rounds, plus 110, don't hate that. I'm going to go with Sean Strickland. All right, everyone. Thanks for riding with me. I appreciate it. Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all that stuff. Like, share, subscribe. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe. Leave me some comments. Talk to me. Help me. I'll help you. Let's make some money. Appreciate it, everyone. Let's see some upsets. Let's see some violence. And let's see some profits. Good luck, everyone. Start 2023 the right way with some money.